When I grew up in East Texas and I was a little boy, my mama had me when she was a teenager. She was not politically involved. Regardless, I asked her because I was watching the news and what's a Democrat, Republican? I don't know what that is. What's the difference? And she says, well, Democrats are for the people, Republicans are for rich folks and corporations. Like, that's always kind of who we were, especially in East Texas, where it used to be a blue wall because we were the party of the little people. Somewhere along the lines, we've lost the definition of who we are. Right now, we have a rigged economy that only works for the people at the top, and the rest of us down here on the bottom are left groveling for crumbs. Just recently, the Trump administration passed a budget that is the largest redistribution of wealth that we have seen from the bottom to the top. It's not getting any better for us. Billionaires are controlling our government and leaving all of us stranded at the bottom. I can't think of a time in American history where the working men and women needed stronger champions.
Newly elected Texas Democratic Party Chair Kendall Scudder there from a town hall he held in Kerrville, Texas earlier this week. Watch for that interesting conversation to hit this podcast feed later today. It's Thursday, June 5th. 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. We really wish it was great news. We really, really do. As Governor Greg Abbott signs HB 2, the public school funding bill, into law, but it's really best summed up as too little too late. Jaden Edison at the Texas Tribune says the bill allocates about $8.5 billion in new funding for public schools targeting teacher pay, operations, special education, early learning, and safety. Republican lawmakers have tried to cast HB 2 as a historic investment in Texas schools, and it is, in fact, the largest one-time spend on public ed in recent memory. But it also comes after years of stagnant support, including in 2023 when political conflict over private school vouchers left billions on the table and our public schools shortchanged. Well, this time the governor got the vouchers he was so handsomely paid to fight for, so HB 2 is now law and will mostly take effect on the 1st of September. Advocates say the funding still falls far short of covering inflation-driven costs and ongoing issues like deficits and school closures. Jaden Edison has put together a nice summary of the various provisions of SB 2. See the Trib link in the show notes for that. Similar funding gaps have become the hallmark of Republican governance from the very top down into Texas as well. Maggie Quinlan points out in the Austin Chronicle that the 89th session in Texas mostly overlapped with the start of Donald Trump's second term, and GOP types clearly interpreted the Trump win as a mandate to pursue hardline immigration and anti-DEI policies, thus the massive wave of right-wing bullshit we've been playing defense against all year. But behind the smokescreen lies the real issue Republicans chose to either accept or ignore. Major federal cuts for Texas under Trump now threaten a broad array of our state's industries: agriculture, healthcare, research, energy, on and on. The culture war is a smokescreen for the class war that Trump and Texas Republicans are ramping up against the working class, and the time for us to wake up to it is right now. The arrival of Pride Month at the close of the session coincides with our unpacking of an unprecedented amount of anti-gay hate that forms a good bit of that GOP smokescreen. Joel DiPaolo at the Texas Observer has a rundown, including SB 1257, which requires insurance providers to cover trans Texans who wish to reverse gender-affirming surgeries. That's a situation that very, very rarely happens, about 1% of those cases. HB 1106 amends the Texas Family Code's definition of child abuse to explicitly exclude a parent who refuses to affirm a child's gender identity or sexual orientation. In other words, it's now okay in Texas to try to beat the gay out of your kid. We've talked a lot about HB 229, which hardens the government's classification of people along binary biological sex lines, essentially erasing anyone whose gender identity and biological sex don't align. Jonathan Gooch, comms director at Equality Texas, tells the Observer, quote, "The worst thing about being queer in Texas right now is having neighbors because I just want to scream all the time," unquote. While Emily Witt, comm strategist at the Texas Freedom Network, notices that the robust testimony and protest at the Capitol during the session against all this ugly stuff seemed to fall on Republican ears that were even more deaf than usual. Quote, they just think that they're in charge and they don't have to listen to the public anymore. And I think that they're going to see that's a big mistake when it comes election time. This is a minority of people who are extremists and have been given millions of dollars to push forth this legislation, but they don't actually reflect Texas. We still have so many people who are willing to show up for each other and keep each other safe. And I saw that throughout the entire session, unquote, and amen. Seemingly similarly encouraged by the Trump 2.0 arrogance that's infected conservatives across the country lately, little old Taylor, Texas, has become one of the Pride Month battle lines as its mayor, Dwayne Arreola, decided recently to withhold a Pride Month proclamation for Taylor, drawing backlash among his 17,000 constituents for breaking a 4-year tradition of local LGBTQ recognition in that town. Brahmi Balarajan at the Houston Chronicle says an online petition that has garnered over 1,000 community signatures urging the mayor to reconsider reads in part, quote, this decision undermines the progress we've made as a community and threatens to sideline the celebration that is integral to our town's identity. The denial contradicts the inclusive values we hold dear and the reality our residents continue to embrace and promote, diversity, acceptance, and love for all, unquote. The mayor has responded with the shameful equivocation that a pride proclamation in Taylor is somehow in competition with observing Juneteenth, which might be the goofiest idea I've heard in at least the last 30 minutes from an elected official. And while we're on Goofy, let's revisit a topic that comes up every June here in Texas lately, and that's the fact that the Texas Rangers are once again the only team in all of Major League Baseball who won't host a Pride Night for the massive LGBTQ plus community of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex this year. Marley Malenfant from the Austin American-Statesman writes that the Los Angeles Dodgers became the first MLB team to host a Pride Month in 2000 after a lesbian couple was kicked out by stadium security for showing public affection. And since then, 29 of the 30 Major League Baseball teams have joined the Pride Night tradition. Adding to the confusion as to why is the fact that the Rangers have taken part in a wide range of initiatives in support of the gay community. They've worked with Dallas's LGBTQ plus resource center on policies and volunteered in related programs. They supported the 2022 Gay Softball World Series and have partnered with other LGBTQ plus sports groups in the DFW area. It's weird, frankly, and one would think that it would be pretty easy for the team to just do a Pride Night and put this away. Meanwhile, it's not the same as hosting their own, but the Baltimore Orioles will be hosting the Rangers for their Pride Night coming up on June 25th. A quick update on that developing story in Tarrant County as the Commissioner's Court there on party lines this week passed a new redistricting map that blatantly packs a huge portion of the Fort Worth area's non-white population into a new heavily gerrymandered district with the goal of establishing a 4-1 majority of Republicans on that court. As expected, the legal battle is on. Cody Copeland at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram says that less than 24 hours later, a group of county residents have filed a lawsuit alleging that the new map disenfranchises minority voters, is racially discriminatory, and surgically moves minority voters into new precincts in a way that unlawfully dilutes their voting power. We're recording our weekly In Progress staff talk today, and we've invited Progress Texas board member Jason Smith, a Tarrant County civil rights attorney who's been in an advisory role with the Tarrant map case, for an explainer. Watch for that to hit this feed tomorrow. Sticking up north to close here, DFW and North Texas friends, we look forward to seeing you guys on Monday, June 9th. This next Monday, we're going to be hosting our 15th anniversary celebration in Dallas. Links to become a supporter and to secure your tickets are up now at progresstexas.org. We want to shout out once again our generous event sponsors: Howard Cleon, Charles Zeller, Pamela Pearson, Alex Andrade, Scott Elphinstone, the law offices of Domingo A. Garcia, PC, Carol Taylor, Chuck Cruz, Amy Forehand, Eric Johnson, and Dr. Mark Parker, John Mazzaro, Seeker Strategies, the Honorable Gene Wu, Mark Yagjian, the Honorable Yasmin Simon, Environment Texas, Joe Jaworski, and many more. We appreciate all the support. And we look forward to a fun hang in Dallas with you guys on Monday night, June 9th. Hope to see you there. Tickets and details now at ProgressTexas.org. Our mission at Progress Texas is to counter the conservative disinformation machine, but they far outmatch us in funding. Oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups spend a lot of money keeping their audiences in the dark, and if you've come to appreciate the light that we shine on important political news in Texas on a daily, ongoing basis, please know that our regular, everyday listeners form a key component of our funding, and if that's you, we could use your support as a monthly contributor, and no amount is too small. Go to ProgressTexas.org/donate like Mary Tadican, Sandra Maddox, and Wayne Bannister all have lately. Thanks all of y'all very much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit, rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.